Welcome back to Wampus Cat Football. The Conway Regional Health System pregame show is continuing now with our weekly roundtable discussion, joined by Levi Gilbert and Tim Roach, the TV voices of the Wampus Cats. And coming off of a homecoming victory over Cabot, and Trey Harris was the headline in this one, guys.
Yeah, he was. I mean, he's now over, I think he's at 728 yards rushing, but 257 in one game. I mean, that's a big chunk of your total. And he was just, listen, people should go back every week and watch Tim's three things after they've seen the game, because they will realize if they just listen to this man, he's going to tell them exactly what's going to happen. His last point was run wild, and that's exactly what your Wampus Cats did. I mean, 389 yards rushing, 257 for Trey Harris. I think it was like 78 or almost 80 for Amari Davis. I mean, these guys were just having a feast, and it was the offensive line. I mean, maybe the best offensive line game that we've seen in the 3 years that Buck James has been here. But it wasn't just them. It was the tight ends, the H-backs. It was the receivers out there blocking. It was the running backs themselves blocking when they run the Wildcrow. I mean, it was something to behold. And it was the first time since all the way back in week one that your Wampus Cats have gotten over 500 yards of total offense. It feels like things are trending in the right direction as the season progresses, and that's a really good feeling, especially the way things are going offensively.
I loved the intensity and the tenacity with which not only Trey Harris and Amari ran, but the way the offensive line blocked. They were all over the place. Now we got to the edge and went over a few times in terms of how strong we were blocking. But those penalties aside, I loved the intensity. Major James had the best game he's had all year. I mean, he was out of control at times. But they did some things with the offensive line that just made the game work better. Levi's point, everybody was blocking. It was like it was a game rule for them just to block everybody in front of you. So I loved the intensity. And then I thought defensively, we still made some great things happen. And yeah, we gave up a few points, but 28 points to that offense is actually pretty good. They've got a good offense. So we tackled with some passion as well. If you can see some of that tenacity and passion from the offensive line get over onto the defensive side on a more holistic basis, you're liable to see some really good things as we finish out the year.
We have toyed with the idea of having a sideline reporter, and last week we almost did. The referee was a prominent part of last week's broadcast. We had the audio of his calls, and there were many calls. You've had a week to think about it. What do we think about 21 penalties called in the game?
Yeah, I don't think it was all on the officials. I mean, I think a lot of it was warranted, unfortunately. But it's Tim and I have been talking about this all week because it's this interesting. I wouldn't call it a problem exactly, but since Buck James has been here, he's been trying to get these guys to have a certain level of intensity that they play with, and he's getting there with many of them, and now some of them it's like, okay, well, maybe we got to pull it back just a smidge, But that's a better problem to have than I think the problem he's had for the last 2 years, which was how can we get them to that line? Because that's been a struggle the last 2 years is, man, they're strong enough now. They can go out there and pound on some guys, but how do we mentally get them in that mindset? It's such an interesting situation to finally be witnessing. And Tim, I know this has been a big thing that you've been harping on all week in our off-air conversations.
Yeah, no, I loved the intensity. And Jeff, to your point, I'm always going to complain about the officiating. It's not going to. It's not.
Just want to tee up.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you very much. I'll try to retract some of these things as I go. But no, I thought that some of the calls were fair. There were some that I thought that. What we did was we were baited into some of our penalties. There's a lot of talk that goes on during the ball game, and at both sides, that happens on both sides, and that's just part of the nature of the game. It's a very tough game. It's a very the right word is going to. I don't want to say that it's just a high energy go get them kind of game. So when you're approaching that edge with your emotions, your physicality, all those things, you can go over the edge. And so that point of no return there, we've got to see that coming and be able to play off. The better teams know exactly how to get to that edge and not go over. The Bryants of the world, as an example, that you don't think that they're not chippy and they're not chirping as they go through the game. Of course they are. They know where the edge is, though. We're learning to get to that edge, and I loved the effort. We just got to be able to control it just a little bit. Coaches will do that this week. There was a penalty box effort this week in practice, and so hopefully some learn some lessons.
Well, and Tim, to your point, it's that level to be able to push the envelope right up to the edge at every level of football. That's what separates the good collegiate teams. That's what separates the good professional teams. And so that is not uncommon at all. And as we grow and get better at that and attain to reach the heights of a team like Bryant that does that very well, that's going to show up in some success. Back to Little Rock Central tonight. I mentioned it in the moments before we came on. It's been a while, been 2022 since we've played down there because of some construction that they've got going on. But guys, it has been all Wampus Cats for a really long time. Since 2020, I had the stat earlier, over 260 points scored for, fewer than 40 given up. See anything that would make you think that trend doesn't continue tonight?
No, not to any significant degree, I would say. I don't think we're going to see a significant change in variance there. But what I will say about Central is that they are trending in the right direction. And I mean, that's a good thing. That's what you want. If you're a fan of football in Arkansas, you want the Central program to be doing great things. And I think they're in their third year with Coach Anthony Robinson. Of course, he was a former Wampus Cat assistant. And, his first year there was rough. They went 0-10. They won 2 games a year ago. They've already won 2 games this year. So I feel like they are going to surpass last year's win total. And I think they can be in the playoffs this year. I mean, they have played, if you look at their conference record so far, they're 0-3 in conference, but they played Bryant, PA, and Christian. And besides us, that's the top 3 teams in the conference. So, they've got us tonight. It's going to be another tough game for them. But after that, they're going to enter a much better part of their conference schedule. I think they're going to be a real fun team to watch down the stretch. I hope they're not a fun team to watch tonight as we play them. But I think they're going to make a run in their last 3 games and find their way into the state playoffs. I really think that's achievable for them, and I'm excited for Coach Robinson. They're better. They're definitely on the up. I mean, they beat Springdale to open the season. Springdale just beat Harbor in a wild game this past Friday. So I mean that those scores, some of these scores don't make sense to me as I look at them, but I think it just all tells you that Central is heading in the right direction. I don't think ultimately it will be enough tonight against Conway.
They have all the pieces, though. I mean, they're big offensively in terms of their line. Defensively, they got a big guy in the middle. They're very fast, athletic. They've got a quarterback that's a really good-sized quarterback and can throw the ball around. Good running backs. They have all the pieces. They got a great head coach. I think he's an up-and-coming kind of coach. So, yeah, it's consistency is the problem. They're good for a couple plays here and there, and then there's a couple plays that don't work out well. So we saw some of that with Little Rock Southwest. They're better than Southwest, I believe. They've got more consistency, but they just don't have enough to really get over the hump. I hope we don't see it tonight, but they've got some plays. We're going to have to watch the quarterback. He throws it all over the field, and so we've got to be disciplined with our structure and our eyes and what our plan is. If we play like us, I think we'll be just fine.
In a lot of cases, you have to show kids that you're committed to whatever it might be. And for Central football, those young kids have seen a huge commitment to their program over the last several years. It's something that we will see on our cameras tonight. We've been going to Central for more than 20 years, and it's been there for more than 100, but it's seeing that south end zone now filled with that indoor facility. They're making a real commitment across the district, really, but at Little Rock Central to get these kids excited about playing football again. The best athletes on that campus have played basketball for years, and there may be some that make their way back to the football field as they see that level of commitment. So, again, transparently, hope it's not tonight, but to your point, Levi, high school football in Arkansas is much better when Central is doing well.